Welcome to another episode of the Muddy Waters podcast where we call out the scams and debunk misinformation. Hey, it all begins the same. We're talking about scams today. We're talking about how scammers operate. And this is one of a multi-episode series on how scams are executed. So let's talk about who is reaching out to you. First of all, what does it look like? It's a random message, right? Could maybe you're on a dating site, and I've been on them as well. Full disclosure, that's where I met my current wife of 7 years. Because I work remotely, work from home, the prospect of meeting someone out socially, wasn't right for me, and we met on Match.com. We met in person. 7 months later, we got engaged, and it's been just a blessing. So, not to take away from the value of joining, dating sites, but to alert you to that beautiful, alluring woman that reaches out to you, or that handsome, attractive man that reaches out to you randomly on dating sites. Those text messages you receive, hey Bob, you want to golf this weekend? No, this isn't Bob. Oh, I'm so sorry. My assistant made a mistake. Um, Good to meet you, though. Where do you live? And you engage in that conversation. Because we're in a polite society, we tend to do so, right? Um, Maybe on LinkedIn, right? Somebody reaches out, as has happened to me no less than 5 times in the past week. Hey, I saw your profile. I think it's really cool what you do. I'd like to learn more. I don't completely understand it. Um, LinkedIn is very specific about what I do, right? So it's kind of weird that somebody would write a message to me and say, hey, I don't really understand what you do, when they can read my profile and easily determine what it is that I do. Um, I'm here to tell you that while it may feel like these are individual scammers potentially reaching out to you, and it may be appealing to you to engage with them initially, right? It's always uh, motivating when someone takes an interest in you. But I'm here to tell you that it's not just individuals; it is organized crime likely behind these outreaches. So let me show you a photo. This is not your typical apartment or condo complex. This photo is taken from a very extensive CNN article researching how scammers operate. And this compound, housing multiple thousands of people, they're all human trafficking victims. And I want to share with you a story. So just take in this picture for a moment and consider how many people are living in this housing complex. And let's talk about the story of a man named Rakesh. Rakesh graduated college with a chemical engineering degree, highly educated, um, experienced 6 months or so of unemployment, and because he had a family to support, began to apply for multiple jobs, as we all do, right? And was offered a job in another country, Thailand specifically. And after going through the interview process, meeting with the agent, he ended up accepting the role and flew to Bangkok. Was greeted there by a driver who was supposed to bring him to a location in Bangkok. 7 hours later, he arrived on the border of Thailand and Myanmar. During the ride, he became concerned, as we all would, right? Um, called to the agent and said, "Hey, what's going on here? I thought I was accepting a job in Bangkok. I'm being driven multiple hours." And the agent said, "Don't worry about it. We've changed the position. You're now going to be, working out of a different office. Um, you know, keep the faith, keep on," right? He spent 2 days in a hotel and then was picked up by another driver and brought to a compound. 10-foot fences. When the driver entered into the compound, he was greeted by an armed guard and a Chinese citizen who said to him, "Give me your passport and sign this contract. And if you don't sign this contract, I'm going to kill you." Yeah, not exaggerating. That's exactly what happened. He had no choice but to surrender his passport, but did not sign the contract. Rakesh was thrown into a jail cell. For 3 days, he spent no food, no water. And after 3 days, finally realized that the only way out of this is to accept the contract. So he signed it and began a year or more of indentured servitude. When he began, he was given a false social media profile. Beautiful woman, an investor out of Salt Lake City, Russian immigrant. He was trained, given a script and taught. And then he began more than a year, 16 hours a day, reaching out to potential victims. And what he describes in the CNN article I'm referencing, which I'm going to show you in just a minute, is 16 hours of outreach, following the script, following the methodologies that they taught them. First, you have a social media profile that's compelling, that's attractive, right? Beautiful woman, handsome man, well-traveled, evidence of wealth, all those kinds of things. And then it's a random outreach. Could be on a dating site, could be a WhatsApp message, text message, could be LinkedIn, as I mentioned. Any one of these things, mistaken identity. Oh, hey, by the way, tell me a little bit about you, and then they get you to engage. Step 2 in the process, according to the script, is build a rapport, build a relationship. And once you establish trust, begin to uncover very specific personal pieces of information that later will be used against a victim. Step 3, introduce investments, right? And by the way, I've done really well in cryptocurrency, and you won't believe how much money I've made. Have you ever considered cryptocurrency, or whatever the investment vehicle is? On dating sites, might be an investment scam, might be a family member needs to have surgery, and I love you, can't wait to meet you, but I need your help. Whatever that investment scam looks like. At some point, introducing the concept of money, right? That's all according to the script. So let's look at Rakesh's story. So this is an aerial view of the compound that Rakesh was taken to. Under gunpoint, again, 10-foot fences, armed guards, the whole kit and caboodle, right? Once he was fully trained, he, unbelievable. Yeah, look at this picture. He was put in a room with dozens of other people. And now that he had a script in place, with cell phone, with computer, and with script, started reaching out to potential victims like you and I, engaging them in conversations. And once he got them to a place of you know, being interested in investments, being willing to spend money, whatever the case may be. Um, you know, the sick mom who had an unexpected surgery, the flight plans to come and see you because I love you, whatever the case may be. Once you got that person to a place where they were willing to talk about investments, talk about helping Rakesh, quote unquote, they would turn it over to a manager who would then, accelerate the conversations, bring them onto a platform if it's an investment scam where they would be encouraged to invest a little bit of money. And of course, every bit of that money turned a profit. Once that profit occurred, they were encouraged to invest more. Look how well you're doing. Throw an extra 500, 5,000, whatever the number is. And, see more money. In most cases, if not all, these are manufactured applications and websites controlled by the scammers, controlled by organized crime, to make it appear as if you're making significant money, when in fact you're not, right? Here's what happened to Rakesh and others like him that fell victim to these human trafficking scams. They were given quotas. If they didn't meet their quotas, sometimes they were subject to be forced to do 150, 200 squats, push-ups, as you see in the video here. Sometimes even worse. Human trafficking victims brought to these compounds, forced at 16 hours per day, every day for a year or more, to make these scam outreaches, were also subject to physical punishment. As you can see in the photo I'm showing now, beaten, electrocuted, imprisoned, forced to live without food and water for a period of time, all because they didn't reach their quotas. So, listen, I share this with you because I want you to understand that when you get these random messages, Facebook, dating apps, LinkedIn, whatever it may be, you really want to vet out, first of all, is this person real? Is their interest in me real? You want to look for the signs that are part of the script where maybe it's a random message, maybe it's not, right? But they start to find out information about you. They start to build a rapport with you. They start to build trust with you. And then a mention of an investment occurs. When all of that happens, when and if all of that happens, it should trigger your spidey sense. It should get you to think about, hey, I watched this video, I listened to this podcast, and some of the things that are mentioned sound familiar, right? Dig in deeper. So in following episodes, I'm going to get into how to identify a false profile. What are the steps that scammers take specifically to build trust, gain rapport, and eventually lead you to that investment scam? And I'm going to tell you why I'm doing all this. Between 3 friends of mine only, they've lost over $500,000 to scams. And I think it's important to understand the methods, methodologies, and sophistication of scammers is just beyond belief. It is not just the 300-pound person in their mother's basement doing these outreaches. It is organized crime, most likely. And my goal with this YouTube video podcast session is to help you spot the signs so you don't fall victim. And I hope that this video, I hope this podcast has been helpful to you. I encourage you, if you learned something new, if this surprised you or shocked you, number one, click the thumbs up button if you like this video. Share it with friends who you think would benefit from it. Please subscribe to my channel. I promise to continue to give you in-depth analysis into how scams work, how to protect yourself, and I would love your comments. If you learned something from today's session, please enter some comments, ask me some questions, suggest other things you'd like me to research. I am going to be publishing a book very soon on how scams work and how to protect yourself, and more information on that as well. But listen, thank you for tuning in. Hope you have an excellent day.